Welcome back to the channel. I'm joined, as ever, on Mondays by Henry Wright. There's loads to talk about today. Who's winning the most trophies this season? Will it be Man City? Will it be Arsenal? Could Arsenal pull off the quad? Because a mad stat for you all. Arsenal, in their entire history, at this stage of the season, have never been in the Carabao Cup final, while simultaneously being in the fifth round of the FA Cup, top of the Premier League, and favourites to win the Champions League. Now, that doesn't guarantee a quad, but they've never been in this position. How much are they going to win? Will City outdo them in terms of the trophy hunt this year? We're also looking at Igor Tudor. Will he save Tottenham from the drop zone as he enters the fray there? Plus, Man United reject Unai Emery as well. All that, and maybe a little bit more. We never know which way these conversations are going to go. Please like, share, and subscribe. Get that done for us this morning, please. Get it out the way. Plus, we're talking about my new movie and the corruption in football, we're calling it, with head character. We've named it the lead character in this now, Henry. His name is Coward Pleb. Yeah, and it's mainly about a football club that plays in sky blue in this movie, and we're calling them this isn't as great a player name. We're just calling them the East Grinstead Warriors, and they sell their tickets to themselves. They can't sell out their stadiums, but yet they're growing the stadium bigger. It's all about corruption in football. I want to say again to the viewers, none of this is really happening. It's all hypothetical for a movie. No real accusations are being made, so please calm down, dear. It's just a movie. But Henry, how are you, mate? Did you enjoy this weekend's FA Cup?
Well, it was a weekend where my football weekend couldn't get ruined because we weren't in the FA Cup. Same as you boys. I feel like the FA Cup's just... I feel like it's losing its magic. I don't know if you feel the same. I know it's early stages of the competition. We're about to go into the quarterfinals. But I just feel like there's not a huge amount of buzz. I mean, I grew up watching the FA Cup, 3 o'clock on a Saturday, everyone was buzzing for it. And now it's just because of the Champions League's coming, it almost seems like it's dying out a little bit. But yeah, other than that, mate, big game coming up Sunday, North London derby, where Igor Tudor is going to be playing his three at the back system, where we don't have 3 current fit centre backs. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, other than that, mate, I'm good.
Yeah, do you know what's interesting about it? The FA Cup thing, I'll very quickly on this. I put out a video on Saturday sort of saying, is the FA Cup dead? And straight away, you get the response of, you're only saying that because Man United are not in it, even though in the 2-minute video, this just shows, people talk a lot now that short format content has rotted people's minds. They couldn't even listen to a 2-minute video before commenting. And I'm a big believer. One thing I wish social media would add, unless people have watched a certain percentage of your video, they shouldn't be allowed on any platform to comment. Genuinely. Not because, some people just write lies. So sometimes you do a transfer story where, I don't know who made the claim, a journalist says, Tottenham are signing X. You do a video saying Tottenham are signing X, same as their headline with a question mark and like a thinking emoji, because everyone knows you're a fan. You're a fan channel guy. You're a football fan reacting to news. You go, this is what this journalist has said. This is what's going on. What do you guys think? And then you give your opinion and say you think it's nonsense. But you get some comments going, why are you making up this transfer lie? And it's almost like, why are they even not allowed to write it? Because you can't control what people write. But most of them, if you reply to them, did you listen to the video? Oh, actually, I've just listened to it now. Fair play for calling it out. And most of the time, the negative comments wouldn't be negative if people just listened for an extra 30 seconds or an extra minute. And so people were calling me out and going, you're only saying it because Man United aren't in it. And I literally says in the video, it has nothing to do with Man United not being in it, because I personally love it. I personally buzz on the FA Cup. I was watching Burton West Ham and I'm, go on Burton. I'm loving every single minute of it. I'm in the group chats though, and I'm in like 15 different Football Terrace group chats and group chats for Football with Friends for all the different podcasts, different this, different that. No, not one. No one's talking about it. Okay, the games in the afternoon will be bigger. No one's talking. There was a handful of comments about the bad decisions in the Villa-Newcastle game, but that was from the Newcastle fans in the group chats. It was dead. So I'm basing it on, I went on the timeline, barely any comments. More people talking about Kim Kardashian on my timeline and other, in the Winter Olympics. And I'm sitting there and thinking to myself, that for me is an indicator that people just don't care. Of course, Mansfield fans having a great weekend. I was so happy to see them, but nobody's talking about it. Last month when Macclesfield knocked out Palace, again, it didn't get the attention I expected it to. And I do feel like the FA Cup needs a financial revamp. I think it's money. I think money needs to get pumped in. We need a bit of a Riyadh season. We need a rich person like an Elon Musk or a Bezos to go, I love the FA Cup. There's a £50 million prize pot for the winner. Something to kind of get people interested in it again, because it does feel like it's just people just look at it as it's almost like people look at it as a bit of an inconvenience that gets in the way of the league and the Champions League. It's only really the latter stages or when the big teams play, like Man United Arsenal last year. Great game, great attention. But outside of that, it just feels a bit meh.
That was the third round, wasn't it?
Third round, yeah. I think it was the third round, maybe the fourth round. But I hate it because I love it all. And I get excited. I sit the kids down, right, let's get some food. This game's starting. Like, who's playing? I'm like, oh, it's Mansfield. And they're like, where's that? It's great. You tell them where Mansfield is. You listen to the build-up. I love listening to the build-up. You get educated about these clubs, and I love it. And then I'm sitting there going, I go online and go, who else is interested? No, not one fucker. Not one person. And I sit there. So, I'm someone who's very much, it doesn't matter that, like, one of my favorite singers is a guy called Lamar Rabika. He, 50-50, If There's Any Justice in the World, Fame Academy graduate. I still listen to his music now when it comes out. I really like it. But I'm also aware that some people might even think he's dead because no one knows he's around anymore. And that's how I feel the FA Cup is. I love it and respect it and want everybody else to enjoy it. But I look around at weekends and no one seems to care. Or the majority don't seem to care. And I'm a bit sad about it. I'm a bit sad, to be honest with you. I'm a bit sad. But aside from that, sorry, mate, I want to ask, aside from it being dead, right, in some people's eyes, right, and viewers can give us their opinions on that. Do you think Arsenal can win the quad?
I knew you was going to ask me that. Well, I've always said, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people agree with this, it's not impossible, but it's very, very unlikely. However, they are giving it a very good go. They are in the fifth round of the FA Cup. I think the draw comes out tonight after the Brentford game. I can't remember who Brentford are playing. They're in the League Cup final. They're favourites for the Premier League and the Champions League. They got to the semi-final last year. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think they win 2 trophies this season. And I think those 2 trophies will be the league and maybe they do 3. There's probably more chance of them actually winning the Champions League this season than the FA Cup. And that sounds crazy to say that. But historically, the last 2 or 3 years, they haven't actually done that well in the FA Cup. Like you said, they got knocked out to you boys last year. They got knocked out to Nottingham Forest a few years ago. Whereas they made the Champions League semi-final last year and lost to the team that went on to win it. This year, in the Champions League, they probably played their best football. Battering Bayern Munich, battering Atletico Madrid, beating Bilbao away from home, beating Olympiacos at home. I don't think they will do the quad, but I do think they could have a similar season to Liverpool where it's only a couple of games away. I mean, they were what, 2 games away from winning they lost in the Champions League finals to Real Madrid, and they lost the league on the last day of the season to Man City. I do think you could see something like that happen again. I mean, let's be honest. As it stands, are Arsenal favourites for the FA Cup? Probably. The League Cup final, who knows? It's a one-off game at Wembley, where I think in the 2 games Arteta's played Pep at Wembley, in the Charity Shield and the FA Cup semi-final, he's won both. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they win the League Cup, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if they win the FA Cup. Can they do all 4, though? They need a lot of things to go their way. They need a lot of fortunate draws. They need another fortunate draw in the FA Cup where they get a lower end team at home. They need maybe, I know Haaland's picked up an injury. If he's out, maybe he's out of the FA Cup fight or League Cup final. They need a lot of things to go their way for it to happen. But look, nothing's impossible. So maybe they do it. But I personally don't think they will.
Do you know what? Look, no, I don't think they will. They could. And the reason I say that is because it's never been done in the 80 odd years that the 70 to 80 odd years the Champions League has existed. Only 2 teams have ever done the treble in England. So the idea that shows you how rare and how difficult that is to accomplish. But in doing that, the draw is also important. Having said that, sometimes you do get kind of difficult draws, and I don't remember exactly who kind of played in every single who City played in every single one of their games. But I always remember back to Man United winning the treble, and people often forget we had a tough run, genuine. Like our FA Cup run when we won the treble was Middlesbrough at home. We won that 3-1 to be fair. Then we played Liverpool. We beat 1-2-1, 2 goals in the last minute of the game. We then played Fulham. We had a lot of home ties, which helped us to be fair. But then we played Fulham. Then we played Chelsea and drew 0-0. And then we won a replay 2-0. Then we had Arsenal in the semi-finals. Everyone knows what happened there with Giggs. And then we had Newcastle in the final. Back then in the late 90s, you ain't facing a harder run in the FA Cup than that. So the reason I say that, but we went out very early in the League Cup because we were going for the treble, and the League Cup was a competition that you could argue we sacrificed because we just rotated. Now, the squads weren't as big, thick, or deep, and deep as in quality then as they are now, because there was a disparity in money. The European clubs had as much, if not more, than we did. So it was harder to kind of cherry pick and keep these squads so big. There wasn't 5 substitutes. I actually think that most of these Premier League squads now would struggle to have the depth they do if there weren't 5 subs allowed in football, because a lot of these players would barely see the football pitch. Now you can keep people happy by going, right, you're going to get 20 minutes at least every game because we can make 5 subs. But the reason I bring that all up is because the trebles were very, very hard. City fans in the comments can tell us about theirs. To do the quad, they are now in the final of the League Cup. So they haven't got any more League Cup games barring that. They've got to start by winning it. And I see a lot of people talking about the quad this weekend. And my view is to say, I think the conversation should start after that League Cup final. Personally, that's because you've got one trophy in the bag. They lose that final, the quad becomes impossible straight away. But what they also need is I think they need good draws because of and what I mean by that is I feel that if their FA Cup run now is if they get Chelsea in the next round and then Liverpool in the round after that, and then they've got City coming up and then they have a really hard final, that just balance of probability of beating all those teams one after the other, maintaining their strength in the Premier League and knocking everybody else out in the Champions League. It's on balance of probability and already having won the League Cup. I see it as a no-no. Can they do it? Yes, but I think they do it if draws go in their favour. For instance, if they get a bit of they get Mansfield at home in the next round of the FA Cup. What that means is they can play a really weakened team, essentially rest their main players for a weekend or a midweek game, because some of the FA Cup games are midweek, and be fresh to go the next game. I feel if the draws are hard, then I think they'll struggle to win all of them. Aside from the quad, who do you think is going to win the most trophies this season between them and City? Because City, as much as they haven't been at the standard of the 2018 Centurions or the standard of their Champions League teams, the Champions League winning team, the treble winning team. When I say standard, I mean the team that just looks so formidable in nearly every game. Although they're not at that level, they are also in the League Cup final and they're in the running for everything else. Who do you think walks away with the most trophies this year, City or Arsenal?
I'd argue that Man City's depth in their front line is a lot stronger, but defensively, I don't think it is. And with Vardiel still being out, I don't know if Diaz is going to be 100% fit for the next couple of weeks. I think based on squad and based on managers, a lot of people will probably say Guardiola because he's been there, seen it and done it. I think the League Cup final plays a huge part in this, because if Arsenal finally get one over on City, it's almost like, well, we've beaten you in the final. Now we're going to go and win the league. And we may even do the Champions League and the FA Cup. If City win the League Cup, I will say Man City will. Because it will be the notion of, well, hang on, we've just beaten you again. You're going to bottle the league title. You know, we've already won a Champions League and you haven't. I'm going to say, based on the League Cup final, I think Arsenal will win. So I think Arsenal will win more trophies this season. Because if they finally get one over in City in a major final, you can't really class the Charity Shield. It's basically... It's not a charity game, but it's played on charity rules, like yellow cards don't carry over, etc. But if they beat them in the League Cup final, I personally believe they will go and win the league. And based on that, they already have 2 more trophies in City. I don't know if this team is strong enough to win the Champions League based on what we've seen. The fact that we finished 4th in the Champions League table this season, above Man City, kind of shows you where they are in Europe. You know, they didn't, you know, they drew to Monaco. They lost at home to Leverkusen. I don't know if City are as strong as we've seen them in Europe. So based on all this, what I'm saying, I do think Arsenal win more. But it could very, very quickly change if City go and win that League Cup final. Because I don't know if mentally Arsenal come back from losing a major final to City while also being in a title race. But yeah, based on my assessment of it, I'd say Arsenal win more. But it'll be very close, mate. I mean, we could even have a City-Arsenal FA Cup final as well.
We certainly could. I mean, I do hope the next round of the FA Cup gets a few of the big boys up against each other. I really, really do. Because it will be a hard round. It'll be hard to watch again if all of the big teams miss each other. All of them. And we've got Chelsea, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle still in it. And I might be missing a few teams there. Hopefully there's a clash, at least one where they're playing each other. But that also could help one of the two sides. And it's sometimes, I think, in terms of the conquest, who's going to win the most? You know, maybe Arsenal get Chelsea, maybe Liverpool get Newcastle, and City get Mansfield. But then the great thing for City in that is that two teams that could truly knock them out will be going out. And sometimes, you know, Man United, when we won the, sometimes we've won trophies, and all clubs have had this when you're a decent team. Sometimes you get a bit of luck. You've got the 99 season where we knocked out all the best teams. Sometimes all the best teams knock each other out, and then the one remaining top team, aside from you, gets knocked out by a decent side. And you look at it and go, well, we got here without even playing. Like when we won the League Cup with Ten Hag, our hardest game was the final against Newcastle. But a lot of the teams we knocked out that are seen as smaller clubs, they'd already knocked out the bigger teams. So, you know, sometimes those things can go in your favour. But right now, I'm siding slightly with Arsenal, but that's only because they're the favourites for everything in terms of the league, the Champions League, and it's hard. I haven't seen the odds on the League Cup final. I'm sure that's going to be pretty even, but I'm just going to slightly go with Arsenal right now. But again, it's only marginal in this conversation. And you are right with City. People don't like hearing this because they see it as protecting Arsenal, and it's nothing to do with them. It's more to do with City. Until I see them be defensively sound for 4 or 5 games in a row, they weren't defensively sound against Salford at the weekend. They weren't defensively sound in their last 2 or 3 Premier League wins. They got opened up. And as much as they beat Liverpool, well done, it became a basketball match. And either side could have won the game. Most of Arsenal's matches don't go that way. They're far more controlled. So until I see them controlling those games when they're leading or they're drawing, and you stop the other team from having attack, I will always side with Arsenal in that debate in this moment, because people, for whatever reason, it's being forgotten about this year, which is the defenses win you the titles. The attackers win you the games. But it's those defenses that win the titles. Because if you're too easy to create chances against, you're too easy to score against or create opportunities against, at some point you come a cropper. So I think, listen, I hope City win nothing this year. And it's purely about Sir Alex and Man United's legacy. I don't want them winning any more trophies. I'd love them to, them and Pep to go 2 or 3 years without winning anything. And that's from a United fan perspective, but they certainly could. In terms of winning, I want to ask you a question. How many games do you think you're going to win under Igor Tudor? And could he actually take you down? Genuinely, could he take you down?
Yes. He, just to answer go back to what you said earlier, by the way, Arsenal are favourites. They're 7-5, whereas Man City are 2-1.
Okay.
So it's marginal favourites. But in terms of Spurs and in terms of Igor Tudor, now, I've actually read up a fair bit about him. I've read up the way he coaches, the way he manages football games, his mentality on football, the way he sees football and his ideology of it. Now, he is a big admirer of tough love. He's very firm. And I've watched a lot of the Juventus. I don't know if you know that, Luca, the Juventus fan. I've watched a lot of his content, and he basically says along the lines of when he took the interim job at Juventus last year, he got them into the Champions League and they had a really good run. This year, he was sacked because he went on an 8-game winless run, and Juventus are miles off winning a Scudetto this year. Napoli and Inter Milan and AC Milan are competing, and Inter Milan are so far clear of everyone at the moment. Looks like they're going to go and win it again. But what he basically said is he's very much work hard in training, which is absolutely fine. But where you need a player, for instance, someone like Xavi Simons, who, for instance, a Pochettino might put his arm around him and say, look, we can get that quality out of you. We need to just take this approach. I think Igor Tudor is the sort of person where if it doesn't work immediately, he'll drop him. And that is probably the worst thing to do in a hypothetical scenario to a player like Xavi Simons. I'm looking at our run of games, and I strongly believe new manager bounce exists. We've seen it in Michael Carrick. You've seen all the players are playing for him. They're covering more distance in games. The fan base looks happier because, of course, you're winning football matches. There's a togetherness within the ranks. Equally, though, with Tottenham's fixtures, we may not see a new manager bounce because we've got a North London derby, and there shouldn't be any excuse for why we're not fit and firing with the players we've got, bearing in mind Arsenal would have played 3 matches by that time. We play them. They would have played Brentford, which they drew, Wigan, which they won. They've got Wolves on Wednesday night. So there's no excuse for the 13, 14 players we have available to not be motivated and ready to go. Because after all, even if they're top of the league and we're where we are, it's a North London derby. Even when they had Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, Vieira, some games they still didn't beat us. They drew 2 all of us, for instance. Our fixtures, mate, I'll be honest with you, they are as horrendous, horrendous as it gets. We've got Arsenal, Fulham away, who have got a very good home record this season. Crystal Palace, which, can't believe I'm going to say this, is a 6-pointer for us. Then we play Liverpool away, which we haven't beaten Liverpool at their ground in 13 years. So let's be honest, we're going to lose that. And then we play Forest at home, which by then we play them, they will have a new manager. Their new manager's been appointed. Let's see how he gets on, for instance. Then we play Sunderland away. We've only lost 1 home game this season, which was against Liverpool. And then we play Brighton at home. Then after that, Wolves away, Villa away, Leeds at home, Chelsea away, and Everton away. There is actually a world where I do see us going down. And that's not me clickbaiting. That's me being genuinely. I can actually see us going down. Because West Ham at the moment are fighting for their lives and they're showing spirit. They're in the next round of the FA Cup, right? Crystal Palace are coached better than us because their manager is better. Their attack is probably better than us. I'd take Sarr and Strand Larsen over the players we've got right now. And then I look at Nottingham Forest and Leeds United. Well, Leeds United at the moment are above us in the league table and have got better fixtures than us, albeit, okay, they play Villa and City. But after that, they've got Brentford, they've got Sunderland, they've got Palace, they've got Wolves. So there is a scenario where if we don't beat Arsenal, this isn't clickbait either, by the way. There is a strong chance he gets sacked before the end of the season. Because if it goes that poorly, mate, I'll be honest. Do you see him doing well? Bearing in mind, he's only ever coached in Italy, and he's only ever coached a 3 at the back system for Hellas Verona, for Lazio, for Juventus, for very defensive-minded teams. He's coming into a club that wants attacking football. Tim Sherwood said it on Sky Sports. I don't know if you saw his comments. Maybe shouldn't have gone that far. But there is a scenario where he gets sacked because I just don't see the players. Do you see us beating Fulham away? Do you see us beating Liverpool away? Do you see us? I mean, I do believe we have the capabilities to get a draw against Arsenal because that is what Spurs do. No one gave us a chance against Man City. We should have won that game. But
do you know what's interesting for me, right? Genuinely, is that, and I want to make sure I say this in the right way. If the stories are true that your squad was just so dissatisfied, angry, annoyed with your manager, then I think you'll survive. If those stories are true, that they just hated playing for Frank, the attitude being compared to what, Arsenal always being used as a stick to beat them with, hated the tactics. If all of those stories are true, I think you'll be okay because a new voice, someone who puts their arm around their shoulders, just come on, boys, I've got your back. You'll probably get enough wins. The problem for me lies is if those stories are not true. And if it was just a case of the club's in a slump, the players don't care, the players aren't good enough, and Frank tried everything and couldn't get them to work hard enough. It all depends on the root cause behind why this team was so bad. If it is Frank, and the reason why I say if it was Frank is that your season last year and this year are almost identical. So as much as some will go, Frank's made the players feel like this. What did Big Ange do that as well? Also, they played very hard for to win a League Cup, the Conference Europa League trophy. Yet you're having a really good year in Europe this season. Yes, you haven't played the hardest teams, but you're playing harder teams than you played in the Europa League last year, right? So I think it's all about what the root cause problem was. So none of us know the answer to that. So it's how long is a piece of string? Could you go down? Yes. Could you stay up? Absolutely. About this manager, though, and his ability, from what I've read, that would fill me with fear. Michael Carrick at Man United, yes, doesn't have this amazing CV, but he's a massively respected figure at Man United. He's a hugely respected figure within football. He understands the football club and the pressure and the supporters. It makes sense. If you guys would have gone and brought Harry Redknapp back, if you guys went out and took, I don't know about your ex-players that are currently managers, you'll be able to name one probably pretty quickly. If you went and got someone like that who comes in, plays quite nice attacking football, can put arms around the players, that makes more sense. This appointment would fill me with dread as a Spurs fan because his record looks horrendous. He has a 41% win ratio in his career. That's only 3% better than what Thomas Franks was when he got sacked. So if you have a bad start and you lose your first couple of games, you will go down. You will go down in that regard because you guys aren't built for a relegation battle. You guys are like a rich kid who have been born with a silver spoon in their mouth, suddenly being broke, living on a council estate. You're getting eaten by the natives, bruv. Us natives are eating you up alive. Where if you grew up on that council estate, grew up broke, your family made a little bit of money, but then lost it, and you were back on the council estate, you can adapt. You can go back into what you were. It's very hard to adapt. And I mean, this is a compliment. No one joins Tottenham thinking they're going to be in a relegation battle. Nobody goes to Tottenham mentally prepared for a relegation battle. I don't care that you came 17th last year. Everybody thought that was Ange's tactics. I thought it. You thought it. Everybody said Ange done this. This squad's so much better than this. You're there again with a different manager and a different style. Correlation and causation are not always the same thing. And you had two different managers with two different styles, and you're in almost exactly the same position in the league. This could be more than just a bad manager. But the next few weeks is going to show us. And listen, I said it before, I say it again. I really want you guys to go down because I can't wait to watch your content about, you versus Millwall, you versus Charlton, and you versus Middlesbrough, and they might come up, to be fair. But it'd be great. It'd be great watching you guys cover those games. It'll be great. Just how many of you are going to have to go back to your normal day jobs? You're going to have to go back to work, mate. You are going to have to go back to work.
If we go down, do you think we'll be replaced?
CVs ready, guys. Tottenham content creators, get your CVs updated because you're going back to work. You're going back to work next season.
Serious question. Do you think if we get relegated, they'll replace Tottenham with the so-called Big Six with another team?
Oh, it'd be so interesting to know how do they market it. That's a marketing question.
We have won the sixth most amount of trophies in England, so theoretically we should still be in the Big Six.
I think if Villa or Newcastle win a trophy or get back into the Champions League, they'll just replace you with those and just say. But they'll stop saying Big Six. They'll change it to the top six, which is then when my branding works. Then my branding will work better. But yeah, look, it's interesting. If my view is this. If City also get found guilty of 115, it'll go back to being the top four. That's what they'll do. That's what they'll do, and then they'll just keep it at that for a period of time. So from a marketing point of view, I should go out really today and like trademark the names, the big four, the top four. I should go out and trademark it all today, shouldn't I? Because their marketing teams will be sitting there working on all that now in case these things happen. So there'll be a case for Big Four. There'll be a case for Big Five. There'll be a case for the new Big Six. Is what they'll say. Listen, viewers, I want to can't wait to get read back through your comments on today's show with Henry. Make sure you get across to Henry Talks Football and get subscribing. Big week of football ahead, Premier League and Champions League games, and then the EPL returns this weekend with some doozies. We'll be not live, but we'll be on Henry's channel Friday, previewing all of that as well. So can't wait to do that and see you all then. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all in a bit. Peace.